Welcome to another handy lesson. In today's video, we're going to talk about the lexical approach. The lexical approach is one of the most common cognitivist and social constructivist methodologies, as it aims for an interactional approach in the methodology, because it's looking for students to develop accuracy in the grammar structure, but also in the pronunciation and being able to communicate their own needs and expressions and their own way of thinking. In order to do this, the lexical approach created by Michael Lewis in the 90s tries to approach the language from a building perspective. And when I say building, I refer to the fact that the language is divided into different lexical sets, as they call them. Lexical sets meaning chunks, collocations, signposting phrases, or simple phrases or words, including idioms, for example, will be, each one of these phrases will become a brick of language, an item of language that will later be retrieved to just put together and construct meaning in context. That is basically the idea, to approach the language not from a grammar's perspective, but as if you were just building blocks, bringing expressions, and developing your pronunciation on those expressions, but building and putting all together and including conjunctions, prepositions, and everything in order to produce meaning. So, how to teach through the lexical approach? It says, well, you teach through individual collocations. You make students aware of collocations. All right, you make them aware that some, collocations are the popular use of a phrase, and you teach them through different parts of vocabulary, and you give them a database of all the vocabulary, expressions, and lexical sets they will need for a specific scenario. In that way, they will be able just to get whatever they need to construct their own sentences. So it is very important then to provide the students with different techniques like brainstorming. As you can see in the image here, we can have the word money, and around money we can have earn, spend, make, waste, invest, and save. So we're giving students a whole bunch of vocabulary around one word so they can construct their own sentences using the different characteristics of it. So we can have earn money, spend money, make money, waste money, invest, or save money. And all they gotta do is just put words together. And if we include conjunctions or prepositions, they could start contrasting or giving a sequence and comparing and so on, just by adding items to the language. That is basically what the lexical approach is looking for to do. So it says Lewis assumptions about learning theory in the lexical approach. Okay, he wants students to encounter new learning items. That's what I've been explaining about, just bricks of language that you use to construct something new. Okay, have students notice lexical chunks, to understand what the expressions or idioms or collocations are and how to use them in context. Okay, he wants students to be aware of similarities and differences so they can understand all the different exceptions to the grammar rules in the English language. Definitely, there is not a linear syllabus to follow when you teach through the lexical approach, because it goes according to the students' needs. Therefore, it is a student-centered methodology, and the teacher will decide which material is the best to fit in the needs from his students. Okay, the role of a teacher. Well, the role of a teacher, it says here, is a major source. Okay, however, the teacher is a planner rather than a controller. The teacher is a facilitator rather than a source or the main source. Because what the teacher is going to do during a lexical approach class is divide the class into 3 moments, like task, planning, and report. So if you notice, these three moments are exactly the same moments that will be used in TBL, as we're going to see in that lesson. But we have the task, planning, and report. Basically, the teacher is going to assign teams in the group, and he's going to explain what he wants the students to do. He is going to deliver, or he's going to provide the students with the elements they need to know about the language. Then he's going to plan, or he's going to have teams of students planning how to do a specific task. A task meaning presenting a cover of a magazine, a role play, acting out some scene of a movie, something like that. So students then plan how to do that, and at the end they report, and the teacher provides feedback. Therefore, the teacher is just a monitor, an observer, a planner, and an organizer, okay, in the different moments of the lesson. The student's role, okay, is that of an analyzer. He needs to analyze, he needs to develop the ability of analyzing the items of language in order to find out the different rules, exceptions, and details in how to use the different words and vocabulary of a language. So he should observe, classify, and make generalizations. And of course, it says making use of computers. One of the features of the lexical approach is that all the vocabulary and the information about the phrases and collocations is going to be stored in a database and a software. That item was introduced by Jaxie Richards when he created this database of lexis. So he organized and categorized different expressions and posting phrases and vocabulary itself according to different real-life situations. In that case, in that way, the students will be able to retrieve all the vocabulary that is related to booking a hotel room or traveling to another country or going to a job interview. So he's just going to use that vocabulary for that specific situation, and the student is going to master that vocabulary. In that way, the learning of a language goes faster as the person is just learning how to express in any situation and be accurate on that as well. So the objectives, it says to get students become aware of, use, and eventually master the meaning field multi-word chunks. So by the constant use of different expressions, collocations, or chunks, the student is expected to master and be able to differentiate and use the different expressions in context and start making combinations with the different items of lexis, such as conjunctions, prepositions, to create contrast, sequence, consequence, and so on, so they can produce their own meaning. So this is basically what the lexical approach wants to do. And this is how it is taught. Conclusion, well, the lexical approach has lexically based theory of language. Everything goes to vocabulary. It doesn't have a certain language paradigm. It goes more for the constructivism as the students are constructing their own knowledge, but it focuses its attention on the combination of words. And yes, it requires the students to memorize that vocabulary. Okay, grammar and lexis are the heart of learning, but grammar is taught inductively as lexis is taught through memorization. It aims to teach vocabulary within grammar, okay? And teachers help students to discover knowledge instead of just giving everything to them. Okay, so that will be the lexical approach. Here is your activity so you can practice it. And I'll see you in the next lesson.